Hey y'all, let's chat. So, Happy New Year. Nice to see y'all. Hope everybody is good and back and getting off to a good start. It is cold as fuck in Chicago. I'm gonna take a moment cause I love good finds, right? So some years ago, I was shopping at Akira and I feel like with my purchase, they told me like I got like a free item or a discounted item, something real cheap, or these was either on sale, something. Cause I don't just be buying leggings. For some reason, I feel like I come across my leggings in a very like haphazard way, like they just happen to show up. But I circled back to a pair of leggings that I just been keeping because I'm like, these look like some quality leggings. I don't know when I'm gonna wear them, but I'm gonna bust them out one day. And baby, I need to find out if Akira still sell these leggings because you know when your mama used to want you to put on your long johns, and we used to fight them so hard on that. Now, baby, give me a pair of leggings underneath my pants, okay? Because I'm cold. So I pulled these out and I'm like, oh yeah, right? Hold on, let me stand up so y'all can really get the shit. Like they thick, right? But I didn't notice. Oh, it is. Hold on, it's like a fur. They like lined with like velvet. Child, guess who's gonna be going back? Like, where can I find them? Y'all, I really, let's hope they still sell them because I need some more of these. Like, I should have bought these in every color. They be going right underneath my jogging pants real nicely when I gotta go outside. But moving on, I just wanted to share that with y'all because I just been outdone the last few days. Like, why did it take me 3 years to put these leggings on? Anyway, so obviously today we're going to be talking about job-related depression, also known as burnout, right? Like, I think that at a certain point, as an adult, as a millennial, you've had burnout from a job. These jobs are getting on our nerves, okay? I love what I do, and I would still rather not work. Like, if I could just wake up and have a deposit in my account every week, I wouldn't talk to nobody. But the fact that I love what I do makes working and capitalism a little bit easier to deal with, just a little bit. But I was having a conversation with a client earlier this week during their session, and it inspired me to make sure I circle back to this topic at the top of the year, which is like, I usually go through a point where when people come to me for therapy and we get to assessing, what their stressors are, that a lot of people's stress comes from work. And so it brings me to tell people that you may not really be depressed. You just hate your job. When we're miserable at our jobs, it makes it very easy for everything else to be very miserable with us as well. And think about it. We spend majority of our day where? At work. How many days a week? At least 5 of them hoes, okay? So it's important to some degree that our job is, I really hate using this word, but we're just gonna go with it, tolerable, right? Like, it doesn't put too much repeated stress on your mental health. It's one thing to just not care to work. It's another thing to hate what you're doing or the environment that you're working in every single day. That will take a huge toll on your mental health, on your mood, on your attitude. I've talked before on this channel about me being in a place where I hated my job. I was depressed. And I think my depression was directly associated with the fact that I couldn't stand the environment. I was anxious all the time about going into my email and seeing the shit ton of things that needed to be done and just the unexpectedness of what bullshit I was going to have to walk into the following day. And I talk to clients really, I have a few clients on my caseload that are struggling with their jobs right now. Even again, if it's something that they necessarily enjoy to some capacity. I work with a teacher who he teaches art, and he's an artist. He loves art. But baby, the CPS school system is stressing my man's out. Like, can't sleep stressed out. So I see this in people all the time. And so I felt like it was a really good topic to be able to talk about and bring to light as far as do you just generally feel like depression looms over you, or is it really associated with your job? And we need to figure that out, because it's not enough. I understand, like, unfortunately, some people don't have the skills or the degrees or the certifications necessary to move around the way that they would like, right? So that means at a certain point we have to prioritize that. If you don't like what the hell you're doing, you don't really want to go back to school, but you don't think you're going to be able to get a job in alignment with the industries that you want to be in, guess what you might have to do? Go back to school. I know, we don't want to get no more debt. What you going to do? Sometimes we got to sit back and really evaluate our options, because either it's be miserable or find another plan. So I like to give it to people straight. Like, you going to keep dealing with this, or we going to come up with something new for you to do? Even if it involves hard work, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's risky. What other choice do you have? So let's just start here. Ways to tell if your job is causing your depression. Number one thing I hear from people is they feel stuck. They feel stagnant. They feel unmotivated. And that's in addition to overworked, underpaid. You throw those in there and you pretty much have people feeling like, I don't know what my life is doing right now. I don't know where I am. I don't know what I want. Like, people just are getting up every day and doing the same thing over and over again and operating in like autopilot. Like, they're not in touch with where their life is at. And they struggle across the board with really feeling driven, feeling motivated, right? Like, you don't like what you're doing, you're not going to be motivated to do it. So being unmotivated is a huge symptom of, I feel like, not liking your job. All right. You dread going to work every day. Very easy. You wake up and you be like, fuck that shit. I might just need to get fired. But you don't. You're going to get your ass up and go because, hey, bills, right? You're agitated when you're at work more often than not. I remember when I hated my job, I was snappy. Like, probably more snappy than I needed to be, but it was just like, fuck this shit. I don't like y'all, and I don't like this place, and I don't like these people. And so, yeah, you get attitude with people. So if you find yourself like, you just always feel on edge, I used to kind of always, I'd be sad because people will come and ask me for stuff, to do stuff that I don't want to do, to do stuff that ain't in my job description. So anytime somebody opens their mouth towards me, I'm instantly like, what the fuck you want? Because I feel like you're finna ask me to do something, and I'm tired of y'all. And not only the agitation at work, right? So now we have the fact that when our depression is related to our job, it starts spilling out into all your other areas of your life. You get off work and you still agitated. It take a long time for you to get home and get unwound. You get off work and your mama call you and you answering the phone with an attitude because you just hate everything right now. And she be like, dang, what I do to you? My bad, sis. I just had a really rough day because I don't like my job. So all my days are rough. So yes, when your moods and your irritability start to spill over into your personal life, that's another way to tell. All right, so you go on vacation, you got your weekend, and you either don't feel recharged or it don't last that long, right? I remember going to, where did I go? To Dallas for my birthday one year when I was working at that job that I hated. And I remember being on that plane coming back wanting to cry because I didn't like the life I was coming back home to. And my job was the huge part of that. Nothing else was different. It was just, I didn't want to go back to work. So I think when you have that heaviness of like having to return versus feeling like, all right, had a nice break, ready to get back to it. That's how I feel now when I go on vacation, because I love the way in which I do what I do. And that's what I need to be clear about. It's like, I hated my job because I hated the environment. I didn't hate what I did because that's still in alignment. And actually not hating what I did kept me going. That's what happened. One thing we're going to talk about in a little bit is like the fact that when we want to manage this, we have to shift perspective to be more gratitude focused sometimes. So in those moments, what I had to do was say, instead of I have to go to work, I get to go to work and walk in my purpose, because I was still working in mental health. I was still helping people. So that was me still, being the the peace that God needed me to be in this world. I just hated the environment in which I had to do it at the moment. But shifting to be more gratitude focused really kind of put me in my place as far as like, all right, G, we not going to complain today. We just going to get up and be grateful that, like, you know, you get to work in your industry that means a lot to you. So yeah. Now when I go on vacation, I be like, okay, I gotta get back to work. But I don't hate it. I don't dread it. So yeah, if you noticing, like, you know, you go and you can take a few days off and nothing, no amount of time off ever feels like enough, yeah, you depressed because you hate your job. All right. You've developed unhealthy coping mechanisms to deal with the stressors from work. Every time you get off work, you coming home and you having a glass of wine, a shot, few blunts, an edible. Watch it, okay? That's how people get addictions. A lot of people end up as alcoholics because of stress from work. I mean, obviously there are other components that make up an addiction, but I've heard a many stories of life getting crazy, work beating their ass, and they just turn to liquor. So let's not do that. But that's a way to know. You struggle to sleep due to anxious thoughts of what to anticipate at work the next day. Your mind wanders. You just so on edge about who gonna be there, what's gonna happen, what you gonna have to do, who you might have to check. Like, it becomes a lot. So, yeah, if you're having trouble sleeping and you know, like, that you just be so concerned about what's getting ready to happen at work, another way to tell. All right. You find it hard to concentrate at work. You spend a significant amount of time daydreaming about what you'd rather be doing. Maybe looking for jobs on company time. You know what I mean? Like, I be all for that. You know, if going to work gets a little better when you get to look for other jobs at work, I'm all for it. Do it. Whatever you got to do, the number one, get your ass out of there. And number two, keep your head in a somewhat good position while you are there. So those are just a few ways to tell if, again, the feelings of depression that you may be experiencing are associated with the fact that you're not thriving in your work environment. Your employer is not conducive to your mental health. All right, so now moving on. All right, so we've already talked about feeling stuck. You know, what do we need to do? How do we need to go about making plans, making goals to move ourselves out of these spaces and doing what's necessary to be able to make this shift into something that's more fulfilling? Sometimes we have to take that leap of faith, right? We all know I got fired from that job that I hated, okay? And at a certain point, I didn't have a choice. God pushed me into doing what I do now full time. And I didn't plan this plan. I was scared. Like, wait a minute. I didn't want to transition out this way. But you got to go with it. All right. So when things happen, like my client, she said all of a sudden, you know, top of the year, they tell her that they're getting rid of her position. So she's either going to have to be demoted or she's going to have to try to figure something else out, right? And so these aren't choices that she felt like she would have to make at this point. You know what I mean? Like, it was unexpected. But I told her, see it as an opportunity. We don't just get these little things don't just start to go left or these unexpected changes if it's not meant for our good. So take it as the fire needed to figure out what you really want to do. Okay? We've already talked about that. Okay, so now we're in the position of talking about, like, how do we manage this employment-related depression? How do we manage the burnout? Again, first step is you got to create a plan. You got to change. It has to change. So that could be a new company. It could be deciding that you want to take something that you're passionate about and make it a full-time business. That shit ain't easy. I'm telling you that now, okay? None of this is going to be easy. However, what's the alternative? It's either do the hard work, figure it out, or stay miserable. Sorry. So yes, you got to figure out what you're going to do. Are you going to go back to school? You want to go get a trade? I personally encourage people to sit down, make a list of your skills. What are you good at? What do you have experience doing? What is marketable about you? And what other lanes could you be using that in, right? A lot of the things that we go to school for can be transferable. Or the industries in which you've worked and built experience in, that can be transferable, right? So get creative. HR, flight attendant, change it up. If you thought that you would be on one path and you're not finding satisfaction or helping it, then it means it's time to start researching other paths that you can take. Sometimes we have to get creative, all right? There are companies with positions that we never would have known that they had. So you got to sit down and you got to do some legwork. You got to do some investigating. I told her, get on Instagram. Look in hashtags of people doing or working in your industry or doing the things that you want to do. What types of roles do they have? Can you send them a message, get some insight? Maybe get a mentor out of it. You get what I'm saying? Like, you can't just think that you're going to put in a job application and then that be it, and then that helps you find like your lane or what's open to you. No. Social media is a great tool. Like, people have found me through social media to ask me questions about my journey just through the hashtag LPC or my licensing exam, the name of it. Like, so if you know how to, use certain words and look online, like I said, in these hashtags, you can find somebody who's doing something with your skill set or your degree that you, again, never even thought of. So sit down and get to researching, all right? Another way to manage your employment-related depression, attending therapy, all right? Go talk with somebody about somebody that can help you sit down and like really devise what your next steps are going to be or what your options are. Bouncing ideas off of people has always been beneficial in making plans. And like I said, there are career coaches, right? There are people trained in this industry to be able to help you get a better understanding of what it is you exactly want to do. Because that's the hard part. I will say that. It's one thing when you know your interest and you know what you're good at. It's another thing when you have no clue. Because then we're kind of starting from scratch, right? And as an adult starting from scratch, that can be very scary. It can be overwhelming. But it's better you learn what you like now versus staying in an industry you don't like and doing that for another 30 years. So again, at a certain point, would we all like to not work? Sure. But you got to find something. Because that's the way of the world. Invest more time and energy into your passions. If you know you got some stuff on the side, number one, you don't have to always monetize off of it. Just enjoy it, pour yourself into it. But if you do want to monetize off of it, you might have another option as far as working goes. Okay. Huge one for me when I was working at a job that I hated, which was it might be time to reestablish boundaries that can be further enforced at work to help prevent burnout. Usually we get in positions and with everything kind of, with COVID, so many places are understaffed, which means that the people who do show up to work, they end up with extra responsibility, which means it can mean extra stress. And you try to push through, but it be hard, right? So if you feel like them people are overworking you, you need to go in and you need to reestablish like what you're willing to do, what you're not willing to do. Start speaking up for yourself. Don't just take on everything because they giving it to you. No. In the workplace, I know it seems like you can't say no, but you can. Okay? Or you can at least open up the space for a discussion to be had with your peers and your superiors about what more balance needs to look like. Okay? So where you can enforce boundaries, do it. Don't just be taking on everybody work for the sake of that's what they used to you doing. No, ma'am. All right. We already talked about shifting your perspective to be more gratitude focused. That's a big one. Especially if you can't move right away, right? Like I need to sit down, I need to put in some job applications, I need to go on some interviews. But in the meantime, I still got to show up. So in order for me to do that, I need to be able to step into being grateful of, okay, at least I have a job to go to. At least I have an outlet to be able to make money, to be able to pay my bills, to be able to do the things that I need to do. That don't always work, but Keep it consistent. Say it to yourself every day. It make it a little easier to get up and take your ass to work. All right. I already kind of touched on this. Outlining your skills, doing research to determine what roles and other careers might be more fulfilling for you. Being prepared to do that work. You got to put it in. Nothing changes, unless you do. So figure it out. And evaluate the factors at your job exactly that contribute to your depression, because sometimes there may be things we can tweak if we really focus in on, like, what do I actually really hate about this job? Is it the people? Is it the customers? Is it my commute? Is it the hours that I work? Because, like, let's say it's a thing like hours. Let's say you on an overnight shift. You don't get to spend that much time with your family and your friends because you're on opposite schedules than people. That's something we might be able to change, So, not necessarily like feeling like you need to toss the whole job if you don't need to. We might just need to reevaluate, what's going on. Do you feel like the work is beneath your skill set? Is there anything that you can do to show that you are invested in moving up the ladder of that company, impressing those superiors, like putting your best foot forward? Sometimes you got to play the long game. You might not like what you do today, but if you see somebody else in that higher up office doing something that you would want to do, then it's time to plot. It's time to finesse, figure out what you need to do lay the groundwork to get to where you want to be. Because it's not unachievable. It's not unattainable if you can see it. Okay? So, I'm just reevaluating. Okay. Yeah, so unfortunately, huge part of our mental health is tied to our financial stability. You don't work, you're less likely to have financial stability, right? And so it can feel like a double-edged sword. Like, I don't want to do this, but I have to do this because I need to work. I need to provide. You know what I mean? Some of y'all, I be forgetting, some of y'all got kids. Some of y'all got whole ass human beings y'all got to take care of. Child. Which puts the pressure on even more to just do and move forward because you got somebody that you got to provide for. So, but what I'll say to parents though is like, baby, if you're miserable, your kids pick up on it. They see it. So, do you want them to look at you and say like, oh, my mama, she trudged through that job she hated just to be able to provide for us? Or, my mama trudged through that job that she hated, but I watched her, take nothing and turn it into something. I almost had a whole fit. Okay, I thought I lost the first half of this video. Anyway, picking up back where I left off. All right, so yes, if you don't have anything to give to yourself, you won't have anything to give to your kids. So we have to figure something out to make sure that you're not out here depressed and being agitated. You ever been around your mama while she was agitated? She is not fun. So we need our parents to be happy or in a good space. You know what I mean? Because when they not, your kids, they feel that. They get the brunt. Sometimes they get the brunt end of it. Okay, you had a bad day. Your mama walk in being all, attitudey with you. Was like, what the fuck I do? Well, that's what the stress of a job will do to you. Okay, to make you take it out on everybody. So keep that in mind when you think that you can just keep pushing through this job that you hate for the sake of your kids. All right, we got to figure it out. There are tools, there are people, there are tests that help you, further identify what your interests are. And at the end of the day, like, you want to work for a company that you feel somewhat good about working for. Like, some of these people, you can tell they clearly don't give a damn about you. They feel like they may not show it, but you're replaceable. Okay? So my thing is, go somewhere where you at least feel valued. And to bring another part into this is when you go on interviews, ask questions, okay? Like the good ones, the deep ones, because it's real easy to sit there and let them ask you all the questions and you don't know nothing about this company. You don't know nothing about how they take care of their employees, none of it. So you need to sit down. I'm sure online you can Google good questions to ask a company that's interviewing you. I got some written down somewhere. I might circle back to this. I got to find them. But I know I had me a nice little list because I need to know, what does the work-life balance look like around here? Okay. When you all get understaffed, what protocols do you have in place not to burn your employees out? Stuff like that. Okay, and see how they answer them. What benefits do I have in the event that things go left? All types of stuff. Think about what's important to you. Think about old situations you've been in at jobs that you didn't like how they handled that shit. And now it's time to ask these new companies how they handling stuff like that. Okay? But don't think that any lane that you would want to step into is oversaturated. Somebody once told me that your gifts, your talents will make room for you. And they will. So you just sometimes have to step into something that might seem risky or uncomfortable, because everything you want as far as like more satisfaction, more fulfillment, may be on the other side of the fears that you have that are holding you back. So invest in yourself, because by investing in self, we invest in our future. Okay. So we just want to make sure that we understand where our control lies. It's very easy to get up and do something that you hate and then blame everybody else in the world for it. No, it's time to take some accountability. What could you have done differently? What could you be doing differently? And what needs to happen in order to propel you into that next phase of your life? Because you need it. But nobody's going to do that for you, So pull yourself up, Get ready for whatever needs to happen and make it happen. Stop putting it off. That application you've been sitting on to turn in so you can go get your master's or finish your bachelor's or shit, maybe even get your GED, turn it in. Stop wasting time. Stop sitting on it, okay? I know people be like, oh, I don't want to go to school. I'm going to be 40 by the time I finish. You're going to be 40 anyway. So would you rather be 40 with a degree or 40 doing what you've been doing? It's never too late, okay? As somebody with a whole bunch of debt, who you think I'm leaving it to? God and Biden. I'm not paying these people, okay? I love what I do, and I totally think my debt was worth it, but they won't see a cent out of me. All right? So that's all I'm saying is some stuff you got to learn to overlook. You got to learn to get around if it's going to get you the way you need to go, okay? And networking, can't be shy, can't not want to go out and talk to people, send somebody a quick DM, a quick email. You never know what you can get from that. I tell people that all the time. Put yourself out there. Okay? Send that message. You just never know. You stopping yourself because you worry about being judged or what somebody else gonna think. So if I get a chance to pop my shit in somebody's comments, guess what I'm in there doing? Popping my shit in their comments. Okay? Because who else gonna do it? Ain't nobody else gonna advocate for me like I advocate for me. So I'm gonna leave that with y'all, okay? Do what you need to do. Don't be out here being scared to go after what you want, because it's out there and it's waiting on you. So I hope y'all have a good rest of y'all day, and we will talk soon, okay? See ya.